But let's get a move on, and this is a true rise with India story. Gopichand Hinduja and Ashok Hinduja speak on the sidelines of the India Economic Conclave about India's $5 trillion aspiration, the government policies, and the ease of doing business. Listen in.
Some people may say it is cyclical. Some people may say because the economy grew up and it is the impact of it. But in my opinion, if the policies are moving properly, this won't happen.
You've seen as a group slow down or slow phases before as well. 60 years you've seen.
Yes.
So do you think what's the, should I say, panacea for this? Do policymakers or big group come together and pull the economy out?
I will tell you, there was one time globalization. Globalization had different type of impact. Now the globalization has changed to protectionism. Take for example President Trump. He wants to say US is unique, and at the moment the US market's economy is doing very good. We had 3 years of uncertainty in Brexit. Now Mr. Johnson has come. The uncertainties will go away, but still we have to see whether it will be hard Brexit, no deal, or soft Brexit.
Sure, now and fresh.
Because he has a good majority.
He has a very good majority.
He can manage. But we have to see what line he is taking and what will be the impact of that. If you go in Middle East, you have Saudi problem, you have Qatar problem, you have these problems. North Korea, South Korea, you know the problem.
Iran is another issue.
Iran is a major issue. Then you see the problems between the trade tariff between China and US. This is affecting. But keeping all this aside, India is totally unique because there are so many opportunities to invest. And if we really, the government and business work hand in hand, there will be no dearth of shortage of inflow of money from OCIs, from local business people. I remember there were days when the banks, if they found somebody had difficulty financially, they used to hold their hands, support them, and make them survive. But now, the banks are also over it. They don't want to take responsibility on their shoulders. The state governments are not honoring their commitments. So if someone has invested in any project, they have to pay installments. And if the money doesn't come from the consumer, how can you pay it?
So when you hold, Diwali parties in London, which we all know about, as a very prominent the Hinduja group Diwali party, then other businessmen of the region and policymakers come in. Tell us, what kind of feedback do you get about how are they looking at India right now? You, of course, because of the business interests so deeply ingrained, you have the pulse on Indian sentiment, economy, whether good or bad. But when you meet others outside, how are they looking at India right now?
Many foreigners, OCIs, NRIs, and foreigners want to come and invest in India. Why? Firstly, democracy. Secondly, Mr. Modi has really made the India name more popular in the world. But when they come here and the difficulties they find in implementation, they run back. And I have many examples of these. They come to me and they tell me, GP, what should we do? What is the way out? Now, that is the key problem.
So are you saying ease of doing business has not really translated?
Ease of doing business has been announced, the progress is there, but we are far away. We are far away. I'll give a simple example. If we write in the Western world any letter to any authority, in 3 days you get the reply. Whether it is a royalty whether it's a prime minister, whether it is a bureaucrat, you get a reply. Here, the letters go, but there are no responses unless you have good contacts. So this is the difference. But as my brother rightly said, Ashok, that it's a change of culture. It takes time.
But there is a solution to this.
Ashok, if policymakers are watching this interaction of ours, and they would be very soon, what are the couple of suggestions as large group operating in
Yes,
India you would like to give?
I was just about to give you this. There is a solution to this. Today, India being a great market because of the consumption. And this type of consumption you don't see anywhere other than China. If all the projects, if the government wants to create an SPV, they should get all the clearances, including the bank loans, that investors call for the tenders, qualify the tenders, ask them to put the equity, and all clearances are there so that they have not to run between the center and the state. Then you see what type of...
So there has to be a council for center and state. So that
if this SPVs are created and all the projects are taken clearances in that company name, the investor comes only invest its equity and he can start his project. He has not to run around for the clearances.
How are you analyzing the first 7 years of this regime, this government?
from now,
No,
No,
Mr. Modi's
Modi's
first 7
regime.
years so far, in terms of areas of work, people will question,
let me tell you.
which is the best reform in your view, which is a
let
game
me tell
changer?
you, his intentions have been very good for the country. That's the main thing, in my opinion. And the vision, what he has for India, he's a committed Indian and he understands the problems. But his team has not been working with the same speed what he has been working. There has to be a good understanding between, after all, government cannot do business. Government can only form policies. It is the businessman who has to do the business. So the businessman should have a comfort. And to give that comfort, they have to be hand in hand to take things forward. Believe me, India can become the third largest economy at least by 2030. If we go on the right track, we should not get worried that from 8% GDP, 9% GDP, we have fallen down to 4.5%. We can jump up. There are every good opportunities to do that. But the policies and reforms have to take care of all the hurdles which are coming on the way. And that can only be done when government and business people work hand in hand.
So let me ask you a completely desi question. This family has been into business for 100 years. Our viewers are stock market guys. They look for sustainable businesses which can keep growing at a modest growth for a long period of time, because compounding happens there only. What is Hinduja Group's secret of compounding their businesses for over 100 years successfully? Sure, going through ups and downs of their own way, but sticking around for 100 years in business itself is a big feat.
Come on, boss.
You see, we are conservative at a family level, very conservative. We don't, the risk appetite is not high. We always go very cautiously to see that anything can happen. It can swing upward, it can swing downward, but at least when you are conservative, your profitability is sustained. So if you see our group companies, sustainability is most important. You may not get the advantage that, okay, today it is A, it has become double in 3 months or 6 months. If you see many companies, it has grown very well, but they have grown sustainability.
Let's talk about 5 principles of the family, Hinduja family.
Yeah.
One
So,
is
work to give.
Work to give.
Because he always believed that whatever you earn, part of it has to go for the others.
One.
So one is work to give. Then act local, think global.
Which we
So-
do all the time.
Yes.
So all our businesses are running on these 5 principles.
Growth with partnership means you have to go in abroad find a right partner and try to adopt their culture if you want to be with them.
ठीक है, three.
And word is a bond.
Word is
Word
a bond.
is a bond.
अगर कमीज भी बेचनी पड़े, कमिटमेंट को ऑनर करने का है. Because if we don't do that, and fifth one is advance fearlessly. You should not get scared with anything. If
So
you
once the
want,
decision is taken, jump.